Now, Democrats and Republicans have been haggling over the budget for quite some time now. There was a brief government shutdown. The Democrats panicked and gave in there. There's an extension. Well, now we're at a point where they've got to make a deal. Okay, God help us. Now, on corporate media, you'll hear that they reached a bipartisan deal, and that's great because Washington is back to doing bipartisan deals. Hold, wait till you see what's in the deal and what's not in the deal before you make that decision. So we go to Reuters again here. The US Senate and House of Representatives were expected to vote on a proposed budget deal on Thursday that would avert another government shutdown, but that has angered fiscal conservatives who complain it would lead to a $1 trillion deficit. You guys are the ones that caused a $1.5 trillion deficit with your tax cuts. All of a sudden you care about the deficit? We'll get back to that in a second because that's very important. Now let's look at the Democrats' position. Reuters says liberal Democrats, meanwhile, oppose the deal because it does not include an agreement to protect from deportation hundreds of thousands of dreamers, young people brought illegally to the United States as children. In fact, Nancy Pelosi did an 8-hour non-official kind of filibuster in the House. There are no real filibusters in the House, but she stood up and she made an impassioned plea on behalf of those dreamers. So she's against this deal. Okay, that's to her credit. Will they get enough Democrats to sign on? Because they've lost a lot of Republicans. I'll get to why they lost them in a minute. But yes, Reuters declares it a rare bipartisan deal. It's not that rare. Whenever the donors stand to make money, there will be a bipartisan deal. And here, the defense contractors are going to make a ton of money. And now let's get to why the establishment, both on the Republican and Democratic side, want this deal. Well, how are they going to get majorities to sign on to this deal? Well, Reuters says it would stave off a government shutdown before a Thursday night deadline and extend the federal government's debt ceiling until March of 2019, putting off for more than a year the risk of debt default by the United States. I will translate for you. In other words, the markets are already crashing. We don't want them to crash further. Our donors are in a panic. And they are instructing all the people that they financed in the Republican and Democratic Party, make a goddamn deal. I don't care what's in the deal, just make it because I don't want the markets to panic. Okay, now we go to the Democrats. John Tester says, he's a Democratic senator from Montana, we don't want the perfect to get in the road of the good. Really, good? Perfect. Like the Democrats are going to get something perfect for them. Inconceivable. All right, but is it even good? What's in it? The agreement would allow for $165 billion in extra defense spending. Unbelievable. And $131 billion more for non-military programs, including health, infrastructure, disaster relief, and efforts to tackle an opioid crisis in the country. Well, how about DACA, the bill meant to protect dreamers? Nope, not in there. Any other Democratic priorities? Net neutrality, protecting Social Security, you name it? Nope, not in there. And the $165 billion is extra on top of what we already spend in defense. That's not the whole defense budget. That's extra. Okay, so they explain what's so attractive to the Democrats. There are a lot of other items in the package that are attractive to Democrats, including money for the opioid crisis. Let's just break those down one by one. Why is that? Why do the Republicans not care about money for the opioid crisis? Do they hate you and don't want to address that crisis? The answer is yes. They don't care at all and they wish that it wasn't in there. That's a fact. They argued against it. Disaster aid. So why is that a win for the Democrats? Shouldn't Republicans and Democrats both want disaster aid? Disaster hit, yes, in Puerto Rico, but also in Texas and Florida that voted for Republicans. Why is that a big thing that Democrats are won on? More children's health insurance program funding. Yes, it's true, the Republicans are monsters and cut funding for that program. But that used to be bipartisan. Why is that a big win for the Democrats? And then last thing, community health center funding and a non-defense spending boost. So also community health centers. So look, let's at least be clear about it. If the Democratic priorities are protect people who suffered disasters, protect children who are sick, and treat the opioid crisis, and the Republicans fought against that, then be clear. The Republicans don't want those things. In return for extra money for their defense contractor donors, They said, all right, fine, I guess help the American people a little bit. Otherwise, if the Republicans claim they agree to all that, and you will see them in press conferences say, oh yeah, of course, we were always for CHIP. Opioid crisis, Trump declared a national emergency, we're in favor of it. Then why is it a trade? It's not a trade at all. In other words, the Democrats got nothing, nothing. Otherwise, do them one by one. We vote on each one of them, and let's see, Republicans, are you for children's health insurance or aren't you? Let's have a clean vote on it. No, instead they put it in, pretend they're in favor of it, and then at the same time pretend that, well, we gave it to the Democrats, what could we do? We gave them so many things. God damn it, and by the way, press, cover it accurately. All right, so now we go to Republican Congressman Warren Davidson. He says, it's not like Republicans aren't concerned about disaster relief or Republicans aren't concerned about funding community health centers or dealing with the opioid crisis. Can you sense a but is coming? But when you add them all up, it adds to an awful lot of spending. It's not compassionate to bankrupt America. In other words, you're not in favor of it. That's why you wanted to vote no. And you see it as a big, giant concession to the Democrats. Sick kids. I mean, they're not millionaire donors at all. What do I get from helping them? For the giant tax cuts for the rich, I know what I get. I get campaign contributions, I get dark money, I get independent expenditures. Later, I'll get hired by those guys. They give me millions of dollars. Sick kids. They don't even have lobbyists. So is it a concession to the Democrats or are you in favor of it? And the bottom line is they are not in favor of it. And he says it's not compassionate to bankrupt America. I would like to remind you that the Republicans just voted to bankrupt America and put a $1.5 trillion tax cut for the rich and create a $1.5 trillion deficit for the rich. So it's compassionate to bankrupt America for the rich, but not compassionate to bankrupt America for sick kids and to treat the opioid crisis. Okay, but the deeply right-wing Republicans, the Freedom Caucus, etc., say no deal. We're still voting against it. A GOP source says, we need to take care of our defense guys. Just gave them another $165 billion. Let me show you what the chart looked like before the new money, before the new 165. That's the US defense spending up top there. That's all the other countries. Top 8 countries after us combined do not equal our old budget, let alone our new budget with an extra $165 billion. Our defense spending is outrageously high. And you think it goes to the troops? You know what a private makes in the Army when he first gets in? $19,000. It's not about taking care of our defense guys. Unless you mean defense contractor guys, then yes, it is about that. Billions of dollars for Lockheed Martin, billions of dollars for Boeing, but $19,000 for the soldiers. They never cared about the troops. It was always a lie. If you're an actual American citizen, the Republicans will crap all over you. But if you're a rich donor, tax cuts for you. Okay, Mo Brooks still looks at this deal and goes, nope. He says, I'm not only a no, I'm a hell no. He says, Justin Amash says, I urge every American to speak out against this fiscal insanity. This is fiscal insanity. $1.5 trillion added to the deficit because you wanted your rich donors to get tax cuts. And then they have the nerve a couple of weeks later to say, oh my God, I care so much about the budget and the deficits. And by the way, reporters, why are you letting them get away with it? Every time these sons of bitches talk about the deficit, go, didn't you just create a $1.5 trillion hole in the deficit? Wasn't it you, Justin Amash, didn't you vote for it? Justin Amash, why are you pretending to care about the deficit? Because I know, based on your vote just a couple of weeks ago, you didn't care at all when you were giving it to the rich. So please save me your crocodile tears about fiscal insanity. Mo Brooks said it's a debt junkie's dream, this bill. A debt junkie's dream is $1.5 trillion to the deficit so that your donors could get more tax breaks. These guys are the worst. One last one from Brooks. He said, all I know is that unfortunately, those who vote for this bill are betraying our country's future and they are selling out our kids and our grandkids. Get a load of what a scumbag Mo Brooks is. So he says giving health insurance to sick kids is selling out kids. But giving tax cuts to the rich is not selling out kids. Oh man, in 2027, 83% of the tax break goes to the top 1%. Even today, the top 1% gets on average over $50,000 in breaks. Paul Ryan brags about, well, you got $1.50 a week. They're getting over $50,000 every single year. And that's actually low. You're not even, that's on average for the top 1%. The higher you go, the bigger the breaks are. The Koch brothers are getting billions of dollars in breaks. And then you pretend to care about the deficit and you pretend to care about the kids? No. Well, every one of those guys in the Freedom Caucus that voted for those tax cuts for the rich are absolute liars. Never cared about the deficit, and they don't care about the deficit now. What their priorities are: protect the rich, protect the military industrial complex, protect every one of our donors, and take it out on the kids, take it out on average American citizens. That's what the Republican Party, and that's not an opinion, that's a fact based on their voting. It's a fact. Young Turks. If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now, tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.